Good evening, everybody. I am Vicki Payton. I'm the Director of Operations here at St. Patrick's Church. I would like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come up here and hear what we have to say about our parish and what is going on, and as we look to the future and everything. We are going to go over a few topics here, and when we sent out the notice that there was going to be a state of the parish, we did ask for any questions to be submitted ahead of time. We received a few, and hopefully we've addressed most of those within our presentation. At the end, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to ask them, or even after the fact, if you think of them later, reach out to myself or anybody else, and we'll get your questions answered. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Father Tom and have him come up here for prayer.
I'd be honored to. May we come together in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh, loving Lord, help us all to cherish where we're at and what we're a part of here at St. Patrick's Parish. There's much for us to reflect deeply upon as we have such a history that goes back over 150 years. We're grateful for all those who have built, who've given, who have desired this place to be the spiritual home for so many. We're grateful for their hard work, their dedication. We're grateful for all that has been built here. As we stand in this place, we do so recognizing the holy things that happen here. There's much for us to reflect deeply upon as we cherish our Catholic faith, as we desire to share it with others. As we come together, as we do tonight, may we be led by your Holy Spirit. Help us always to see, to appreciate, to understand all that goes into this holy place. Help us to have a vision as well for those that are to come, those who have continued to join as we continue to grow. May all experience your grace. As we come together on this night, we do so, and we pray that you bless our meeting and all the important things that we take to heart and reflect deeply upon tonight. May it be a reminder of what we share in faith and the blessings of one another. May we be grateful for truly the gift of so many that make up this parish family. And so may we continue to seek to grow, to rely on your grace, and be led always and forever by your Holy Spirit. And may Jesus be made known deeply here in this holy place, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I too want to echo Vicki as well on saying thank you for finding time in the midst of your week to be here. This is a wonderful and exciting time for us as a parish family. There is much for us to consider as we do on this night. First of all, I think it's good for us to just really think about who we are. We're one parish family. One parish, one really big parish family. You know, it's incredible. Right now, currently, it's made up of 2,530 families, which if you want to break that down into individuals, that would be about 9,169. And I'm pretty certain that that number has changed probably as recent as today, because we continue to grow. Our average age here at St. Patrick's is 29. We have 40% of our parishes under 19 years old. And over 40% of the families that are here now today have been parishioners for 9 or more years. What we do here is we are living and relying on the Holy Spirit, living our Catholic faith through the sacraments. Just this year alone, I think all you have to do is look at our baptismal tree. In the church, we've had 142, and I know that last weekend we had 14 more. That was 2 weeks ago. This past weekend we had 6 more. So we are well up over 150 now. We also have 213 First Reconciliations, 214 First Eucharists, 186 that were confirmed in the Holy Spirit, 9 marriages, and 30 funerals. And so as you can see, there's much that continues to happen as we grow. What we desire to do is we desire to invite all to know Christ through various faith formation and lots of the programs that we have here, such as Alpha. We know that this year alone, I just came up from downstairs. Actually, I snuck a bowl of chili with the Alpha group. We've had 263 people that have taken part in Alpha since it's begun. We also have parish missions and alteration and SPY, our youth group. We have mission trips, Bible studies, and much more coming as well. And so we invite everyone to be a part of it. We invite people to share their gifts and join in spreading Christ's love through service. It was a wonderful thing to see the response that came forth, even at the time of the recent flood, through flood relief, through food drives. It was really something else. When we had the food drive just a couple weeks ago, we were able to fill 9 pallets with over 12,000, actually 12,069 items. We have our giving tree, which is our Christmas project, which is going to be coming up in the next couple weeks. We have so many ways that we reach out to try to help. I remember when I first came here, it just seemed like that everybody had great ideas. And there were so many people that desired to help others. And that's when we decided, we were like, it would be a good thing. Why don't we put together a human needs committee? They do amazing things and meet regularly. And it's been something to see how the outreach has reached out in constant ways. And they're doing a wonderful job. And so that's a great thing. One area I know that we don't lack in is socializing. We enjoy one another as a parish family. I think that everybody, there's so many things happening that hopefully you're always going to find a place and feel welcome, a place at the table where you will always belong. And with any group, we have things such as Trivia Night, the golf tournament, the Women of St. Pat's, Sunshine Group, Trunk or Treat, Fall Festival. We have our men's club, Knights of Columbus, the athletic committee, Spirit, Fish Fries, SPY, choirs. It goes on and on with what the various activities and clubs that we have here. It is definitely like a small city or a big village. We have over 1,670 volunteers who volunteer regularly, 32,400 hours of service per year. That helps, and we couldn't do it if it wasn't for our many volunteers. And so it is truly with gratitude that I come here tonight. And at this time, I would like to introduce our current president of our parish council, Mike Rasmussen, to come forward. Please welcome him.
Thank you, everyone. I've been blessed to be a part of this parish for over 10 years, my family and I, and I'm extremely honored to be part of the parish pastoral council and the current president. So I thank you, again, honored for that. And Father Tom did a great job of telling us kind of who we are. I'd like to explain and share a little bit about why we're here. But before we do that, I'd like to just talk about our patron saint and take a look at maybe learn a few things about our patron saint. So did you know that St. Patrick was not actually Irish? It's believed that St. Patrick was born in an area of Scotland, and when he was young, he was snatched and taken to Ireland as a slave. His job there was to mind the sheep And he was enslaved in Ireland for about 6 years before he was able to escape and go back home. So that when we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day and all of us who aren't Irish are pretending to be Irish, we're in good company. St. Patrick himself wasn't even Irish. So St. Patrick also, after being ordained a priest, he was tormented by what's called the voice of the Irish. And he heard that voice calling him, "Come back to us, Patrick." And because of that dream and that voice, he returned back to Ireland. St. Patrick is often seen as, or lore tells, that he drove the snakes out of Ireland. In reality, there were no snakes that St. Patrick actually drove out of Ireland. It's really just the evil that those snakes represent that St. Patrick drove out of Ireland. Then St. Patrick, when he was evangelizing, that term evangelizing was synonymous with civilizing people. And so St. Patrick thought that he was civilizing the European people when he was evangelizing them and converting them. And then this last item, I was not aware of myself, but St. Patrick was never actually formally canonized as a saint. And the reason for that is because when he died, there was no formal process for canonization. So it's believed that St. Patrick was just acclaimed by popular opinion to be a saint, and probably agreed upon with the approval of a bishop, and became a saint. Really, the canonization process didn't come to be until the 12th century. So a little bit there about our patron saint. But why do we exist here? What is St. Patrick's? We have a long history of 151 years, and we need to kind of look at where we are and plan for our future. A very important part of that, and important part of anything, is having a guiding statement, a mission statement. The parish staff started developing a new mission statement this summer. There have been, Kathy, I think, could tell us there are at least a dozen different versions of the mission statement, so it hasn't been necessarily clear what the mission statement of the parish is. So staff and parish council has taken about a 4 or 5 month process of trying to come up with a new mission statement for our parish. We're excited about this new mission statement, hope it can provide some guidance for us. A lot of hard work went into this, and so we're really excited to share with you what this mission statement is. And the mission statement is one family, living our Catholic faith, inviting all to know the love of Christ. So we're very excited to share that with you. So that mission statement hopefully is kind of a guide for us as we're moving forward and continuing. Along with that new mission statement, we believe that some new branding and a new logo was needed to provide some consistency. There have been many different versions of the logo. You can see the Celtic cross that we have beautifully painted here. The Celtic cross we've got out in front of church has been logo. We've had a lot of different versions, but there's a lot of inconsistency on that. So the staff has created a new logo and actually consulted with, I believe it was LPI, that helped us with the creation of the new logo that will help provide some consistency. So that new logo, you can see up here, the main inspiration for this logo was the staff of St. Patrick. The statue that's out in the Welcome Center, or the entrance to the Welcome Center that has been in the narthex for many years, that statue was kind of the inspiration for this logo. And that statue has been a part of the parish for at least 70 or more years. So that staff represents the shepherd that St. Patrick was, and as a shepherd, that staff was used to lengthen their reach and reach out farther. And so using that staff as part of this logo, it kind of helps bring back to that mission statement that we are called to invite all to know the love of Christ. So, and you'll notice in the center of that staff, there is kind of a reference back to this Celtic cross that we've had for many years. The Celtic cross can be found there in the center of the staff. So this logo kind of pays homage to our heritage as well as looking towards our future and our new mission. So there are a few different variations that we have for the logo that we can use on different areas on the website, on social media, letterhead. Several different variations that we have. Those variations and this logo will be available for use, and if you need that for any of your publishing needs, anything like that, you can contact the parish office. So I'm excited for the new logo, the new mission statement. Hopefully that'll help guide us going forward. I'd like to now take a moment to introduce Jessica Pulte, our Director of Stewardship and Development.
All right, good evening. I want to echo everyone and thank you all for being here. It is truly a pleasure to be on this staff and to be part of this presentation and with you as we were going through different information about how we've grown over the years. There was a stat that came out, and those of you who know me know that my in-laws have been here since basically the late 70s is when they first registered, and then my husband and I married here in 2000, and at that time there were 583 families. Currently we're at 2,525 in just 20 years, which blows my mind. So it is so exciting to be a part of this and to continue being with my community here and sharing this information with you. What I'm talking about, my talk is a little briefer than some others. I just want to update you a little on a few of the appeals we've had here and kind of tell you about a couple new things coming. First one being the Archbishop's annual appeal. We historically here participate, but not ever very aggressively. And then this is an example of how, for the first time in a while, we've done amazing. Our goal here, put out by the Archdiocese, was $56,890.56. But we actually were able to bring in $57,519.68, which puts us at 101.1% of our financial goal, which is amazing. And next year we will look to strive to do that even better. We don't try to push too much when it comes to the financial appeals right now because, as I stated, being here since the early 2000s myself, we are constantly in a capital campaign. So we know we have that a lot, especially this time of year, which is where the Archbishop's appeal occurs. Which leads me to my second piece. Everything that is brought in here, budgeted line items, are raised two major ways, and that is through fundraisers, spirit, golf, other items like that, or through our offertory appeal. Spirit itself, to give you an idea, is budgeted to bring in over $270,000 in the past couple years and this year. Thankfully, they do an amazing job. They have amazing volunteers. Last year, they were able to bring in $275,000, so they did an amazing job, which is great. In the dream world, that item is not a budgeted line item. That item is for the additional things that we would like to have happen or need to have happen. And that's where we come up with the increased offertory appeal. Every fall, there is an increased offertory appeal of some sort. Here, again, we don't usually do it very aggressively. That has changed this year. If you remember, we did our talks at Mass. We had lay witness speakers. Father Tom talked about it. We actually did the Commitment Sunday where we all paused for a moment, filled out our cards, and then turned them in, and they were presented. What this slide is showing you and what you will receive at home in the next week or so is the results of the participation of that campaign. And I want to stress that it's participation in the campaign itself and not necessarily people donating. Those are different numbers. After we did this one night, I had a gentleman who was pretty upset that we only have 33% participating and 67% not giving. I said, no. We have more than that. So again, this is just the results of the increased offertory appeal. So we had 33% that participated in the appeal when this slide was made. Since then, I've received another 30 cards, which is bringing us even higher. Now we're sitting at 35 to 36%. It will continue to happen like this. In past years, it would have been the wheat paper that you received or the stained glass window asking you to reevaluate your finances. So we continue to receive these cards every week, and we will for quite a few months. What is exciting about that is we did use a company to help us with this, and they helped gauge how much we are supposed to increase. Based off those that did participate, we will see an increase of $524,000 over this next year, bringing us to over $1.3 million in the offertory appeal, which is a great thing. But I caution with that because they did say these are pledges. The reality is you may only see 50% of that. And so that's why we want to be very open with what came back and then know as a parishioner and as you as parishioners, that's in our control. So pledges turn into payments, et cetera. So that's why we do want to say tentatively 524,000 additional funds will be coming in over last year. So that's amazing. The last thing I wanted to bring up is planned giving. Planned giving, again, haven't educated a ton about this over the past 10 years or so. It is something that is a need. We are going to start doing this, and basically planned giving is a method of supporting St. Patrick's Catholic Church and School that enables a donor to make larger gifts than they could make from their income. A planned gift is any major gift made in lifetime or at death as part of a donor's overall financial and/or estate planning. So you will start seeing information. Would you like to consider leaving St. Patrick's in your will? Would you like to know more about our endowments? Would you like to know more about larger gift options? So that is what is going to be coming via mailings on the website, maybe a few seminars for those of you that would like to attend. So we do want to be sure that you know those are coming. Another vehicle that we are going to launch that is an avenue for receiving these gifts is a foundation. There are a few other churches that have gone down this road, and a lot are looking towards this. So we started doing research to see what does that mean for us? What did that look like in other places? And then we met with the Archdiocese, we met with the Finance Council and the advancement team and some parish council. And over the past 2 years, 1 to 2 years, have had lots and lots of conversation, and it was decided and approved to move on with our own foundation. What you see up there, St. Patrick's Parish Foundation, is our name, is the legal name that we have received for this. I point that out because it's not ST period, it's SAINT, but basically the same thing. But you'll see more information coming about what does that look like for you? What does this mean to me? It's just honestly another vehicle that will allow for us to receive the larger and the long-term gifts for the parish. So that is all I have. So I'm going to go ahead and, if you'd help me welcome back up Vicki Payton, Director of Operations, to tell you more.
Good evening again. I am going to talk to you about things that have been going on around here as far as projects. What have we been working on over the last year, year and a half? What are we looking at towards the future? One project that we actually had started, and most of it was completed last year, but we put the finishing touches on this summer, was the sidewalk widening and complete removal, replacement of cement. The cement had been crumbling, cracking, heaving, and so we tore it all out from the front of the school all the way over to the parking lot past the front of the church and replaced it. We also widened the sidewalk to give a little bit bigger walkway, and then added lights, so it is now a safer, nice big area for everybody. One project that we had not anticipated on was the work that had to be done on our soccer fields after the floods this spring. We were not exempt from some of the other people around who suffered damage from the floods, and we were lucky, though, where we did not have all of the sand and piles of sand like some people, but a lot of the work had to be redone. We did have to redo sprinklers, wells, and everything else. The insurance company would not have covered over 90% of the damage, so we did have to rely on our athletic committee, who did a majority of the work, and we also had a large community donation that helped pay for everything. The fields reopened this fall, and I had comments from people saying they were actually better than ever. Another project that had started, and a lot of the work was done last year, however, we finished up this year, was the Welcome Center renovation. We added the little area that Gazelle Johnson sits in. Gazelle is new to our staff in the last year, and she is there greeting everybody as they come in and helping direct them. She answers phones and does a lot of stuff for us. In the evenings, we have a couple of high school students who work out there. Primarily, it's Maria Rieger and Kate Cordes, and so if there's meetings in the evening, they can help them get to wherever they need to be. We also have a more secure office space and area for our students and children, because the door that goes into Bolin Hall now is on a buzzer system. The last project that we work on this summer was the Boland Hall. We had some mold that had developed over the last few years, and also taking advantage of having to do all this work, we said, okay, we're gonna make a major facelift of the area and clean it up. Nothing had been done in this area really since 2008, when Father Ron was actually here. At that time, I was here on staff, and we did a majority of the painting. We literally tore the carpet up, so this time it was kind of nice to not have to do that. Luckily, we have Marty Cordes on our staff as our facility manager, and he spent probably 2 months moving furniture from one spot to another spot and overseeing the whole process. Now what we have, the old pictures to the left are from 2008, and now it is, new carpet and fresh paint, brighter. We put in brighter fixtures, and so it looks great. We don't have a lot on the walls yet. We were kind of waiting until after we announced the new mission and logo, and now we're going to start working on that type of thing. Some of the cost from this was from the final auction item at Spirit from spring, and that helped pay for most of the carpet on this. I also benefited from the mold mitigation and removal of everything, and I moved literally from a storage closet to a storage room. So now I have a much larger workspace, and I do have a lot of stuff on my walls. And before we go too much into the future, I would like to update on everybody where we are on our current capital campaign. The campaign had started in 2016, and for a majority it wraps up here this next year. Our highest amount we ever had outstanding on loans from the construction was over $7.8 million. And then in 2015, we had gotten that down to a little over $4.5 million. And the reason that I point that out in 2015 is that is when we looked at building the activity center. At that time, we went to the Archbishop and asked permission to basically use the financing we had in place to build the activity center. Our proposal was that our loan that we had, and we still have, at the time it was at 2.28%. If we had paid that off and tried to get new financing, our interest rate probably would have been about double. So he agreed to allow us to leave the loan as it was, and we built the activity center and paid cash for the entire thing. Majority of the funds came from the challenge grant that we had received from the Dorothy B. Davis Foundation, and so they gave us $3 million that went towards construction, and then part of their parameters was that we had to turn around and we had to pay over $3 million down then on our debt. I'm happy to report that as of today, right now we're at 1.99 million. However, I will be, before the end of the month, paying that down enough that we will have fulfilled that last obligation from the challenge grant. So we'll have paid over $3 million since we've built this beautiful facility that everybody's in right now. We have over $2 million left in outstanding pledges on the campaign, and if those do get fulfilled, we should be able to retire our debt in the next 2 to 3 years. And as Jessica referred to, back in 99, 2000, we had 583 families. So we've grown tremendously over the last 20 years. So Even though we're still working on all of this, we need to be looking to the future. We need to be responsible and saying, okay, what are our next needs? Because area is exploding. This slide shows a map that is from the city of Omaha. Their projections for the outlined area are over 9,000 residents moving in, and an extremely conservative number is that would be over 2,000 more Catholics. And then they say that's very conservative because in the area, the population typically is more around a third that are Catholic, but they were using national statistics, trying to just not overshoot anything. The outlined area, like I said, that's the footprint for St. Patrick's. That is over 80 square miles, and so we are huge. It's a big area, and it is growing by leaps and bounds. So taking a look at that, what we did was last fall, we had Jim Stolz, who is the Director of Finance from the Archdiocese. He came out, he met with Parish Council, Finance Committee, Vision Committee, and parish staff. What he reported was that the Meitler study that the Archdiocese had ran for all of the growing areas agreed with what the city said. They anticipate at least 25 years of more growth in our area. His recommendation was for us to form a committee and go find an architectural firm to help with a master plan and to look towards our future. He said that we would probably be needing a church that would seat a minimum of 1,200 people, and he also advised us that we should not just look at other locations, but to also look at the land that we are currently on and see if there's any way possible to do it here where we are. So this spring, an architectural selection team was put together. We sent 4 requests for proposals to 4 local architectural firms. The top 3 we brought in and we interviewed, and RDG was selected as the firm that was going to work with us on creating a master plan and looking to our future. RDG has a reputation of working and developing churches throughout the nation, and they actually have people that is all they do. So they come very highly recommended and are very qualified to help us. So once we got them on board, then what we're doing right now is looking to say, okay, what do we need? You know, what kind of space do we need? You know, the 1,200 seat church, what about anything else? So they had us put together a church planning committee, and we have brainstormed with them a handful of times. At the same time, they also had us run a survey in September, and that went out to all the parishioners. I'm not going to recap the entire thing as that has been sent out, and it's actually still on the website if somebody would like to go look at it, or you can contact us and we can get you the information. The number one point of feedback on that was that our parking and traffic flow here is an issue, and it's a large concern for everybody. Literally, any question that was on, it was number one, except for one area, and that was as we look to the future and we look to build, what is the number one thing we need to be considering and keeping in the forefront, and that is our sense of community. Everybody wants to make sure that St. Patrick's keeps the small town feel, community feel, and that we are a family. So that is something that we are making sure we're handling. Most recently, what we've done is we've formed 4 subcommittees that have worked on looking at space needs for everybody. The 4 committees, worship and liturgy, they have looked at everything from the church, narthex, confessionals, just anything to do with mass, liturgy, daily mass, chapel, adoration. And then we had the youth education, and that encompassed SPY, which is our youth group, the RF, Liturgy of the Word for Children, anything youth. And then the parish life was for meetings, clubs, groups, events, all the things that Father Tom was saying that everybody is involved in here. And then the parish administration area looked at office space, storage, and our needs there. What they asked all these 4 groups to do was look not only at our current needs or the needs that we needed in the short term, in the 3 to 5 year, but they said go and look what you need as far out as you can even imagine. What will serve the area for generations to come? When everything was all comprised, they estimate that we will need an additional 57,600 square feet of space to accommodate what was put down on these surveys that came back from the 4 subgroups. So now we're sitting there and we're like, what's next? Well, we have to decide if we do something where. So we have currently 2 options, the site that we are on right now, or we do have a few acres of land that was generously donated by Frank and Jane Krejci that is about a mile east of here. It is pretty close to the same amount of land. However, this land obviously has the school, which is going to stay here, so that needs to be taken into consideration. RDG has informed us that the very, very early preliminary estimates, whether we did construction here or elsewhere, could be really probably pretty close to the same because of the amount of work that you would have to do at one location or another. And again, there's no plans in place, but their very early off-the-cuff number was anywhere from $22 to $23 million. One thing that we have been also looking at is when Jim Stolz came out and he said, you know, to look here, look where you're currently at. Is there anything you can do? So we have been looking at whether or not we can acquire some additional land that is adjacent to our property, and that is really literally where we are right now. There's been numerous meetings and numerous hours spent looking at site selection, and nothing has been determined yet. That is something that maybe will come by the end of the year, we don't know, but nothing really happens until then, and as soon as we do, we'll make sure we communicate with everybody. Once that is determined, then what do we do? Well, when we do decide a site, then RDG will work on putting together a master plan and conceptual design for a facility for us. This could take us well into next year, and then if everything looks good with that, then we would hire a company to do a feasibility study. And the feasibility study would again come back to all the parishioners as a whole and say, what do you think? Do you support this? And get feedback from all of you. So right now that is where we're at, and looking to the future, I am going to now bring up Kathy Knockreiner, who is a member of our Vision Committee, and she's going to update you on what they have been working on.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Knockreiner. My husband Jim and I moved here 20 years ago from Wisconsin, and we've been members of this parish since we've moved here. So about 2 years ago, Father Tom invited a group of us to talk about what do we need to do to help St. Pat's grow, to meet the growing parish size, but also what are our needs. So as what we did is we took on the process of evaluating what are the things we're doing today and what do we need to do to plan for our future. The first thing we did is we assembled this group of people. Father Tom led us along with Matt Graves, Cami Landenberger from the day school, myself along with Charles Olson, Kyle Salem, Sam Wagaman, and Corey Watton. So this is the group that we're working with. We developed some goals. Our first goal was to engage people in their faith. You can see the list of people here who are on that subcommittee. Engaging people in their faith was our primary thing, that we believe that's the most important reason we exist. And a few of the objectives that that group is working on is inventorying the parish-sponsored faith formation. What all do we offer here? We've already discussed or shared that we offer Alpha, but what other things do we offer? And to make everyone aware of those things. They performed a liturgical review and are recommending a stop-and-go Mass. How many of us can say why we do everything we do during the Mass? Also, the alteration video series. The other thing we're going to look into is increasing Mass attendance. As was shared earlier, our population has grown, but our Mass attendance as a percentage has actually decreased by a few points. Why is that? We've added Masses. When I joined here 20 years ago, we had 3 Masses. The church seated 400 people. Now it seats over 600 people, and we have a lot more Masses. So we've expanded the times and capacity, but why are the numbers dropping? The second goal is youth education and programs. So this is the group that Cami has put together, and they're currently working on objectives for the day school program, the RF program, and SPY. Our third goal was organizational health. Without a solid organization and the roles and the people you need to help with the growth, that's pretty important to help us get to where we want to go. So what that group did is first they interviewed all of the staff. What do you do? What do you like? What don't you like? What recommendations would you make? They also identified gaps in staffing and working on developing those roles and developing a review process along with having team development and training activities, and they've already held a couple this year for the staff. Goal 4 was one community. As we have grown and our schools grown, it's been very easy to differentiate. We want the parish to be one solid community with the day school, the RF program, SPY, and the parish at large all feeling like they're a part of the same community. So we're gonna take a look at that specific initiative around how do we label events. One of the comments we heard recently is there was a belief that the day school put on the parish festival in August. No, it's actually a parish event. It's not a day school event. We've had parents say, well, my children can't participate in sports because they go to Elkhorn Public Schools. That's not the case either. So in order to support that, the youth sports page got moved from the day school page on the website up to the parish page because any member of our parish can participate, their children can participate in sports. So we're making some changes around how we communicate and how we share those things. The fifth goal we have is communication and marketing. And I'm leading that group, and I have a group of people assisting me. And a few of the things that we've worked on is we're doing interviewing right now of some staff members, identifying what are all the different ways we can communicate. What's every communication channel? And if we need to communicate something, what's the process? How do we ask for that message to be delivered? The survey that some of you took, along with the parish growth and building and master plan, the first few questions were questions that we had come up with. How do you receive communications from the parish? Oddly enough, the bulletin was number 1 and flock notes email was number 2. And that was also the preferred methods. So we're going to take a look at those and see if we can make any of those processes a little more efficient. And then we're going to look at more of the technology-driven things around the social media. Why aren't they being used like we thought they were going to be? We're also working on updating our marketing and communication policy around banners and signs and messages in the bulletin and messages that go into flock notes. How do we make that easier for the staff to receive those requests and that information and make it and publish it so that it's easier for everyone to know what's going on here? Our sixth goal was financial advancement and stability. Corey Watton gathered a group of people, and their focus or their objectives are weekly tithing, estate type giving, which leads to the St. Patrick's Foundation, the communication of the financial state of the parish, which that's one of the things we're doing here, and the collaboration of our 3 finance groups. We have the finance committee, we have the advancement committee, and then we also have this leadership financial vision group. How do we get all 3 of them working together? Because they each have different objectives, but they still need to be working toward the same goal. And then also, they're going to spend a little bit of time getting to know some of the clubs and organizations that raise money. How do they use that money? And understanding that process. So those are the things that the Vision Committee has been working on for the last year with the subcommittees now that we've defined our goals. Thank you.
That is what we have for this evening to present, and so I'd like to see if anybody has any questions.